So I'm Louise and I'm here with My Global Mind talking to Jim Jones and Harry Grafton, the founder of the Red Rooster Festival, otherwise known as the Rock and Roll Duke. So thank you so much for talking to me today, Harry and Jim.
How's it going?
Oh, yeah.
It's great. So tell me, where did it all begin?
Well, Red Rooster Festival is a festival that we host here at my home, Euston Hall in Suffolk, every year. We've been going for about 10 years, and it's a blues, rock and roll, roots music festival, focusing on music and tasting the sounds of the South in America. And so we've been rolling for 10 years, and I've been a big follower of that sort of music and that scene for my life, really. And so when I took this place on Euston, my home, at about 30 years old, I decided that if it was going to work, I was going to have to bring the music to the home. And so we have been hosting this great event, and it's growing from strength to strength, and people are really loving it. So it's just a great feeling.
And rock and roll kind of runs through your veins, doesn't it?
I'm quite keen, yeah, that's true. Yes, no, well, I mean, I've got some experience before running Red Rooster in living in Nashville, Tennessee for 2 years. I lived out there, which gave me a great chance to travel down to Memphis and to North Mississippi, check out great bands like the Oblivions, the Neckbones, the Cool Jerks, a lot of the Fat Possum label artists, and of course Junior Kimbrough, Oral Burnside, Cedric Burnside, all that scene. So I had a great first step into live music, and then post working in Nashville, I was lucky enough to work for 18 months on the Rolling Stones Bigger Bang tour. So I was on the road for 18 months for the band. So I certainly cut my teeth.
And you don't get better than working with the Stones.
I don't think you can.
What were you doing with the Stones?
When I was working for them, I was out there working with their merchandising. So my role was to make sure that they turned cotton into gold. And
pretty good at that.
Yeah, they certainly did. So my life was spent taking merch around to the band and all their guests, and going backstage and going onto the stage, and then also just basically living as a roadie on the road for 18 months. So it was pretty lovely.
And tell me how you met Jim.
So I came across Jim when I had moved back actually from America, and I'd obviously had a real passion for the sort of punk rock blues type sound, which I was finding quite hard to find back in the UK. So when I was back living in London, a good friend of mine, a music journalist, had said, you must go and see the Jim Jones review. And of course, I went to see Jim many times actually. I was a big fan.
Didn't disappoint.
Came up with the goods every time.
And actually Jim was very kind to us when we started Red Rooster, and the Jim Jones review were our first headline act in our first year. So we've known each other for quite a number of years now.
Yeah.
I originally actually took the producer for Red Rooster to see you play in Austin, Texas at South by Southwest.
Southwest, yeah.
So we've known each other for a while, and Jim has recently just been recording here at Euston for the new record, I hope.
Yeah.
Let's hear a bit more about that, Jim.
Yeah, well, last time we spoke last year, Harry has all kinds of stuff going on here, but he has a biker festival called Trip Out, and we were headlining that. And Harry was asking me, what you're up to, and I was like, want to do another album. And I was talking about like recording in places that aren't made for recording, like stuff that's done. There's been some really interesting stuff done over the years that hasn't been in a studio or an environment that was meant for recording, like to name a few, like Basement Tapes, Bob Dylan, or obviously Exile on Main Street, meat and potatoes of that, and you all know the drums from when the Levy Breaks were recorded, in the entrance hallway with a couple of mics hanging over in a big mansion house and stuff. Yeah. So and Harry mentioned that like when they were doing this place up, that in the walls they kept finding all these shells, and it turned out that that's like a sort of what is it, 16th century technique? Yeah,
17th century soundproofing technique. So these walls have seen a lot of action over the last 350 years, and I think it was a fitting sort of move to have Jim come up with some of the guys.
It's like a light bulb moment. It's like, okay, recording outside the studio, like say soundproofing, really fairly nice backdrop, as you can see. And yes, we did our first session last weekend, and I got the stuff just looking at mixing it at home in the last couple of days, and it sounds great. I mean, these rooms are great, you know, just so much more interesting than your average studio sound. There's just the same soundproofing, the same mics, the same, and everyone sounds kind of the same. So when you're looking for something that's just got a bit more character to it or something, you need to go outside of that environment. You know, I mean, it's obviously studios are amazing and they're there for a purpose, but if you can get a bit of character into it, and he's kind enough to go go on then.
Well, yeah, we've got Jim's Bell coming to play at this year's Red Rooster as well, so it's a nice fitting thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
And you've got an incredible lineup of bands this year, haven't you, Harry?
Yeah, we have. I'm really excited. We've got JD McPherson, who's from Nashville, Samantha Fish, who's New Orleans, the Sheepdogs. We've got JP Harris, we've got John Tavius Willis, we've got Jeremy Paxton. We've got a really nice blended, I think, lineup. We've got the Jim Jones All Stars. You know, it's going to be a great show. Actually, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be one of our best. I really do.
This place has got like a bit of a history of sort of rock and roll party.
It's a rock and roll house.
I think the walls of this house have seen quite a lot of action. I'd probably say over the last 300 years. But no, infamous or famously so, when King Charles II would come up here to go horse racing at Newmarket, he would come and stay here at Euston because. We're sort of descended from a line of one of his illegitimate children.
How rock and roll is that?
It's a royal bastards, I think. And so he would come and stay here, and I think famously would have sort of arranged marriages upstairs. So there was a bit of wife swapping going on, and I like to think it all fits quite nicely in with what we're trying to sort of do here at Euston and with Red Rooster and having a really fun party every year that people can come to and enjoy it and enjoy the grounds, enjoy the site, you know. So it's a real pleasure.
And this festival, it's all about, you know, inclusivity, isn't it? So you were saying under 12s come free. Yeah,
so it's very much family, you know, aimed. You know, it's always on the summer half term. So this year I think it's 29th of May to 31st of May, and kids under the age of 12 get in for free. The tickets we try and keep at a respectable price. I think it's £150 for the whole weekend. It's very much aimed at trying to kind of build a really fun family audience and something for everybody to do. There's, you know, aside from the music and the great food, there's wild swimming, there's axe throwing, there's all sorts of cool stuff you can do.
Who's the dude in the woods?
Will Lord is this prehistoric kind of survivalist guy who's been on TV. On the Discovery Channel, and he will be here.
Teach you how to live on worms.
Yeah, he is. He does sort of survival courses in the day. We've got hot rod displays. We've got all sorts of other stuff you can do around the music.
This is just so cool, isn't it? It is like something for everybody, and really, you are the only UK festival which does proper roots music.
Yeah.
I like to think so. Yeah, I really do. I mean, that's always been the aim, is to really sort of go in focus on you know, whether it's blues or rock and roll or country, you know, a bit of bluegrass, but get the right stuff. And there's some amazing musicians out there, and there's a lot of bands coming over that a lot of our audience probably will never have heard of, which is what we quite enjoy. And we very specific.
Otherwise, you wouldn't see.
You know,
you just wouldn't get unless you go out. You know, down in Mississippi or wherever, and kind of
always
check out where that's
honky tonk in Nashville or Memphis. We've kind of gone out specifically every year to Nashville and Memphis and places like that, New Orleans, to really find those crazy acts that are really going to set the stage alight.
And that's amazing, isn't it? So, I mean, that just goes to show the passion that you have for this music. That it's actually, for you, it's not about making the money. No. It's about bringing what you love. To the UK.
I think that's why it just keeps getting bigger every year, you know. I mean, it's like, because it's like based on, in my experience, when something's based on a love of something, it's always really good vibes. It's that kind of thing where you can sort of leave your phone somewhere and it'll still be there. You know, when you come back later. Whereas kind of profit-driven places, they always feel a bit edgy, you know.
No,
it's sort of like you get that corporate thing, and it's kind of amazing that you can do. Getting as big as you are, but still keep that feeling like you're with your mates around the campfire, like checking out some like really amazing music, you know, and sort of.
That's definitely the concept. We always wanted it to be a fun, you know, boutique festival, but with great music and great food and great beer and all the rest of it, you know.
But even though that's how it started out, it's gone to, well, I mean, way above the next level, hasn't it, Harry? You know,
Yeah, it has. Yeah. It has. No, it's definitely grown a lot. We're up to about 7,000 people now. I probably wouldn't want it to go much more, but we might, somewhere around there. But it's doing really good guns, and I'm really grateful.
Oh, amazing. And do you find it hard keeping the balance between what is commercial, what sells, and what you love?
I think we probably, if we're being honest, we have to do a bit of both, just because we are trying to sell tickets, and I mean, there's lots of great bands that we'd love to put on that just might not fit. So so there's an element of that, definitely. But we want to find really something that everybody's going to like as well. And there is one stage that focuses on sort of blues and rock and roll, and there's another stage which is probably a bit more Americana, country, that kind of thing. But hopefully there's something to feed everybody.
Because you've got 3 stages here.
3 stages, So we've got 3 stages, all focusing on slightly different genres, and then a late night sort of honky tonk that goes on till late in the morning, and everyone has a good time.
So rock and roll.
3 hours, yeah.
What are you most excited about with this festival, Jim?
Well, just getting back here, and it's grown so much since the first one we've done, and seeing all the other groups that are playing.
Yeah.
I'm sort of quite excited to see JD McPherson, who's like, he's been going for, I don't know, like 15 years now, something like that, but like, just one of the best singers that's around at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think his voice is like, it's kind of, I go as far as saying like his Sam Cooke level kind of singer. Is just one of the best singers that actually are around today.
Yeah.
Who doesn't go, like there's some really great singers, but that follow that sort of typical kind of, but he's really got a sound and a soulfulness about. So yeah. And it's sort of just, it feels real when you hear him sing, and it's like, I'm really excited about that, and having a swim in the lake,
If it's warm
and of course the late night honky tonks.
It's
Last man standing.
That'll be me.
So Jim, let's talk about the Wild Hearts, because we love the Wild Hearts at My Global Mind. We absolutely love them.
Yeah.
So
another just sort of my lucky sort of planets aligning with this band, the All Stars. It's been really from day one. It sort of started off during the COVID lockdown, which was really hard for so many people, music industry, and case in point, Red Rooster, you survived.
It's been tough.
A couple of years of that, but coming out the other side, and then and blossoming, and this All Stars band was put together sort of as a hasty thing during that, just to do something, and it's one of those things where the planets keep aligning, and things just sort of just come to you, But like, we got a call from the Wild Hearts, and Ginger's been a friend for a long time, and I mean, he's proper been out there, non-stop, kind of delivering the goods. And for him to call up and say, like, "Oh, do you want to do these shows with us?" Like, yeah. Give me a minute to think about that. Yes. Yeah. So that's in March, so that's coming up really soon. I'm doing like a bunch of UK dates.
How can they get tickets, Jim?
Yeah, just check online. Go online to either Jim Jones All Star or obviously Wild Hearts. Go online and check out Wild Hearts tour dates. I'm particularly looking forward to Rock City in Nottingham.
Such a great venue.
But yeah, some great shows. So that's coming up. Then the first part of the recordings from here, we're going to put a single out in beginning of April, and we have a launch in Brighton, which is 3 nights. We call it like sort of the dirty weekend in Brighton, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's going to be different support bands each night. And I'm going to see if I can curate some cool, maybe get some films put on or something, some cool cult movies in the afternoon, and then basically I think we'll have the place,
sounds great.
And that'll be the first single from the album recorded here, and the rest of the album come out in September time. And I've been in talks with Chris, who's obviously could be heavily involved in this, but they're dealing with fires out in California at the moment, which is serious.
Of course.
Shit. But so everything's lining up really nice.
And this is all off the back. I mean, it was no time ago, was it? You toured with the Black Crows. And
yeah.
that was incredible, wasn't it? If anyone watching this saw this show, saw those shows, I mean, they were amazing, mind-blowing, weren't they? I mean, the stage set.
Yeah, I know.
It was like circus tents, and it was
a lot
incredible.
of crew to sort of put it up and take it down.
Yes, it was mad.
Yes, and I think they had it down to like sort of packing it down within like an hour and a half or something.
It was like that pyramid of speakers, wasn't it? And then the drums were on the top. It was just
like big pile of amps in there. Yeah. And Chris told me that the drummer sort of had fear of heights.
Get on nosebleed.
Yeah.
That was a great show.
Amazing shows. They were like on fire, sounding like Chris's voice still ripping it, you know. And I love Richard's guitar playing as well. You know, he's really singular out. There's no one quite like him.
No.
And the shows were amazing, and they really looked after us. You know, like everyone, you know, right through the crew, and everyone was. It was just a dream. It was a dream come true.
Oh.
And when we did our last show in Berlin, they got us on stage, you know, and I sort of came on and sang a Jerry Lee number with Chris as there. So that's a nice touch. But yeah, we talked about, you know, okay, stay in touch, get the album going. So that's, here we are and here we go.
So that's what's next.
That's what's happening. That's what's taking place.
And this house, I mean, it just lends itself to music, doesn't it? I mean, you can't see it, you know, on this interview, but everywhere you look, there are drums, there are guitars. It's just like the rock and roll house, isn't it? It's so
that's a very nice compliment to say. Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of fun here. We did a massive restoration project of the whole building probably 3 years ago. So that took a long time to sort out, and the house was in a pretty sad state when I took it on 15 years ago. So it was a big project. I remember thinking at the time as well, with sort of Red Rooster in the background, that if I was going to, like I said, I was going to have to take on the responsibility of running this place, and then I needed to have some rock and roll to help kind of get through. And it's been a great kind of cathartic experience to take on the hall and the pressure of that, but also then have a really rocking show every year, and people love it. People come, so I think that's all working. So I'm very appreciative to everybody who's been coming over the years, and we have a lot of pickup of people coming back each year, which is great. So
loads of people I know, you know, sort of friends in London or about. It's just a given. It's like oh well, you know, when are we meeting to go down to Red Rooster this year or go, you know.
Because you've built a real cult following, haven't you?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think it's just, I mean, the first year we did it, we weren't quite sure what we were doing, but we knew we had a stage and we had a band, and I think we had a burger van that ran out of burgers about halfway through, which was quite interesting. But yeah, no, it was a baptism of fire, and we really felt that there was a real love for this sort of music. Lots of people of all sorts of ages. And it just got wheels on it, and we just thought, well, let's just keep going with it, and it's just grown and grown and grown. And it's a great feeling to see, like I said, see the reaction from a crowd that might not know the soul, the blues, or the country, but then really get it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm excited.
It's going to be incredible, and there must be a lot of plate spinning involved in organising a festival like this. I mean, you must be, you know, thinking, what about the electrics? What if a band pulls out? How do you manage that?
Well, I've got a very professional producer and crew who take a lot of that sort of pressure off. But no, I mean, like for example, this last year gone was we actually had a bit of a wet one on the first day, and we were all sort of slightly trying to work out what to do when the generators didn't work because they were flooded. We had to get another generator from Norwich and get some cables from Ipswich, and there was a kind of, like I said, like a Back to the Future kind of moment where we managed to wire it up again, and off it went, and we had power on the site, but it was a little bit tight for a couple of hours. And now again, like the crew were totally professional about it. Like, look, we're just going to have to slog on and get it to work. So it's quite a lot of lessons learned this last year, and I prefer it not to be quite so stressful this year. But no, it's great, and it's just been, you know, they all come back every year, and they really love doing it. So I'm very grateful to them as well. They're, you know, a really good team.
Do you have like a pivotal moment where the festival's finished and you get to that point and you go, we've done a great job here, I can relax now, I can pour myself a drink, I can chill out? Or do you get to the end of it and you're going, right, next one?
Well, there's always a good sense of relief when we've got through it and it's worked, and you see the reaction on the crowd. And on the Sunday, everyone's sort of obviously taken down their tents and coming back to reality. But yeah, no, I mean it's definitely a moment to have a few drinks and really feel. But we do spend most of the actual festival talking about the next year's festival. It's just one of the conversations I end up having with the team. It's like, what are we going to do next year? Are we going to make this better, or I don't know, it's just part of the fun. I suppose it's my sort of mad obsession, but I think they all get the same obsessiveness that I have, about it. I want to see it get better each year. I want to see it improve. I want to get, big bands and different stages and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's always exciting to think of the next one.
And we were talking, weren't we, Jim? And you were saying one of the things you love about this festival is that it is authentic and it's real, and it's so far away from these big commercial festivals.
On so many levels, like independent food, like the music. It's like the real thing. It's not the corporate version of the real thing, and there isn't that thing where it's sort of you arrive on site and then you've got to go through all this security and have your bags searched and check this and stamp that. It's kind of like you managed to keep it like you just feel like you're getting together with your mates.
Yeah, well, that's certainly it. We have
have a big weekend.
We have a sort of light touch approach to the festival, which I think everyone appreciates. It's just I don't even want to have to get your bag checked 9 times coming in through gates and the rest of it. And actually, the good thing about the site here is nowhere's very far to get to, and I think that's a big help. Everything's quite close. There's not much queuing, I hope, and so it's we try and keep it a nice tight little site here, and it's great. I think people appreciate they're not walking for miles with kids and the rest of it. So
I think anyone who's done some of the big festivals like Download or Reading or Glastonbury, I mean those sites are huge, aren't they?
You can be walking half the day.
Yeah, exactly. You go to the loo, you get lost, but you're never seen again.
No, that's true. That is true. Yeah. Well, actually, I think everyone can get around the site easily, and we also have great food as well. A lot of the food that we have here is like authentic sort of southern barbecue and that kind of stuff. So we try and get all of that right as well. Get really good sort of southern tasting food and drink. Yeah. It's
a full immersive experience.
Yes, that's correct.
With the sort of
the bubble
spun out backdrop of this place.
Yeah.
It's proper escapism, isn't it? It's like stepping into that proper roots music bubble. Proper escapism.
For sure.
What a festival should be.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was actually weirdly when I was in Mississippi traveling, I would often think that actually some of the backdrop of the countryside was not that dissimilar to Suffolk actually, and to East Anglia. It's kind of you've got this kind of flat countryside down by the delta, and it's sort of that's a kind of light bulb moment. I was thinking wow, it'd be really cool to sort of transport the music to Suffolk and have it down by the river here and all that sort of thing. So there is a backdrop of this house, but if you look out towards the river on the other side, you do get quite a nice sort of sense of, I think, the delta and that sort of. I like to think so anyway. The muddy waters,
Yeah, no, you can probably get lost in the full immersive roots vibe.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yeah. When you were a kid, did you go to festivals?
Yes, I did. And I went to a lot of live stuff growing up. I sort of grew up in London, so I went to all the sort of venues in London, really. So,
did you?
Yeah, I went out a lot, actually. I mean, going to gigs is probably my favourite thing to do. So, and of course, living out in the States as well, just any chance I could get to go to a show, I went. So I went to all the venues in Nashville, and I learned a lot of. Spent a lot of time in clubs in London, like the 100 Club, and
preaching to the choir.
Totally.
So I actually get quite excited if I'm in London to find a venue I haven't been to, because I've been to quite a lot actually in my time. I really have. If I'm not running the farm here, I'm in London checking out bands and having a good time.
And I think the UK music scene right now is really exciting, isn't it? It's much more diverse. I think there's been a real recovery from COVID. I think lots of small bands are coming over from the US as well.
No, we're definitely seeing an uptake in US-based acts, which is predominantly a lot of the bands that we have here at Red Rooster. And also there's a real passion for kind of roots music and country music is huge again, and that sort of stuff. So that's really encouraging for us. We're really excited to promote that kind of that brand.
Definitely.
I think it's worth saying as well. It's you've got like all of that super authentic thing that you can really immerse yourself in, but at the same time, it's not like beard strokey. There's an element of that, but it's going to rip your head off.
Yeah, that's
like
what
it's the real shit. You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah, for sure.
You were saying, weren't you, about the first time when Jim played?
Oh yeah, no, well it's a great example of what Red Rooster is all about. Is that when I remember when Jim came on stage with the Jim Jones review, the security got on the radio and they thought that something like a bomb had gone off or something, and they're like, what is going on? So something happened down at the stage. And it was the band. The band came on, but I just remember it being distinctly more in your face than whoever played before, and everyone got quite a sort of shock, a good shock. That's obviously definitely what I want anyway for the crowd. I want to see some faces getting melted and all of that. So yeah,
that's what it's all about, isn't it? Seeing someone's face. And do you find this as a performer, Jim? You look out that audience and you see their faces, and you're like, yeah.
I'm sort of really not satisfied with the show until you get to a level where people are going, what the fuck is this? You know, until you see that, you know.
Yeah.
And I say to the band, like, wait till you see the whites of their eyes. Going.
I mean, you do move around that stage like you're on fire, don't you?
Yeah,
Literally.
well, it's kind of. I think that's one of the things with when you're dealing with roots music. There's a couple of ways you can sort of approach it, and the way that I'm not really into is that sort of slavishly sort of just picking. I mean, I'm authenticity is like really important, but like if you're just sort of like basically sort of treading a path that's been gone before you know, it takes it into, which I've nothing against, but it's sort of more of that sort of Butlins kind of. It's almost like LARPing, live action role play, where you sort of put on a hat and like, now I'm blues.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the other way to approach it is to sort of find where the seed, the spirit of the thing, where it really lives, the flavour, and then just turn it up to 11. So people, like, you know, and you sort of pull it. You know, it's like the plane won't take off unless you're giving it fucking everything you've got. You know, and I think that's what you can't get any altitude otherwise. You're just kind of like, well, you know, sort of. It's like join the dots. Yeah.
No, when one of the trips we did last year to Nashville in September, we we're going around all these honky tonks and we're really specifically looking for that sort of band,
fire,
whatever that is, whether it's a rock and roll blues show or it's a country singer or whatever. It's somebody's really giving it
the intensity.
Yeah, you know? I really hope we've got that to provide this year. Actually.
And this sort of music, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's all about the fire, isn't it? The energy, the fire, and the connection with the audience. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
People have it in different ways. You know, you don't necessarily have to be leaping around and shouting your head off. You know, you can have, there's lots of kinds of intensity. But like when you're in front of someone that can do that, you know it. You fucking feel it and you know it. And I think that's, you know, they're the kind of bands that you get. At the Red Rooster is that, you know, that have that authentic fire about them in one way or another.
What can you tell us about your new material, Jim?
It's the best there's ever been. We were doing some tours, and even the stuff with Black Crows, we were slipping in a couple of the songs that we'd written to kind of road test them. And they're getting a really good response. It's still a newish band, the All Stars, Jim Jones All Stars, and so trying to figure out what we can do. For those that don't know, it's a fairly big band with a brass section, you know, piano, saxophones, and sort of figuring out the material that can sort of show that to its best light, and you know, kind of really, really, really drill down and use it is like part of the fun of it. Sort of figuring out, like, you know, it's like finding an old car and figuring out what fucking hell, it can do that, you know. And that's sort of what it's like with the band. And I think these new songs, you're going to see some of those new bits like, fucking wait till you see this. We've found something else it can do, you know. Chitty chitty bang bang, like, fucking hell, it flies. it's a bit like that, you know.
It flies.
It does, and it does fly.
It does, that's great. I've seen you guys play a lot of times now, it's great.
No, it feels really good, and it's a sort of, and it's a violent energy, but it's very positive at the same time. It's kind of an uplifting, violence to it. That's the way I would describe it.
It's certainly got a bit of power behind it, Jim.
Thank you. Yeah.
And if you could have anyone play at your festival, Harry, who would it be?
Oh God! Well, Stones would be quite a nice one. I think they might be a bit expensive.
It'd be great to get a stripped down Stones, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, just like sort of without the stadium theatrics,
Yeah,
but just as a band.
That'd be great.
Definitely.
You know, I mean, there's loads of bands we go through every year, and we just, you know, we tried. I mean, nice to get the Black Crowes. Can you have a word?
Yeah.
Well, no, Chris should be down here at a certain point. And
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Sort of
I mean,
make them an offer.
there's a lot of great bands out there. I'd love to get Jack White. I'd love to probably look at something like the Black Keys. I don't know, those sort of acts as well. I think would be good. So no, there's just loads. Sturgill Simpson's another act I was really into, but they're all going accelerating in their
They are.
in their spheres, and I think sometimes we just can't quite grasp them as they're coming through the ranks, but we're still trying. We're just going to keep on plugging away at it.
And how do you find that balance between who's affordable and who you want? Because that's tough, isn't it? Because you've still got to somehow break even on this, surely.
We do. We're very tight on how we operate because it is a small festival. So unfortunately, we don't have these big budgets that a lot of festivals do have to claw in big names, and so we just work with what we've got really. But we are very tight, and we have to be strict about who we do. So when it comes to a headline act, we really do have to go for the whatever we can really afford.
Yeah, of course.
And that just sits around. So we have a sort of top list that we start every year with, and then it sort of slowly whittles down over the course of the
Stones.
and we find a happy medium somewhere in the middle. Really, that's where we're trying to aim, and also genres as well. We go through literally specifically, whether it's country or rock or blues or whatever. We go down the list, and then we sort of whittle it down again, and whittle it down again, and then try and work out what's going to work with what, where it's going to fit into the show, and at what time. And there's some acts in the afternoon that are great, sort of single blues guys playing away, and then obviously going to the evening, you don't want to have someone on their own on the stage doing some Americana or something like that. You want to get into the action, and that's where gin comes in to spice things up and to rev up the crowd. So
Pressure gin.
I think we'll be fine.
I think you
Scare
will.
up a few kids.
Scare the kids, exactly. Stir them up a bit. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
It's going to be incredible. So Jim, I know that obviously you've been playing with the Black Crowes and you go way back. So tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, when they did their first tour, Shake Your Moneymaker tour, they told us they'd been on tour for 2 years, and they'd done literally the A to Z, Aerosmith to ZZ Top for bands they played with, and then it just really took off for them. And while they were on the road, they went from sort of kind of relatively unknown to sort of triple platinum. And when they finally came to the UK, the venues were already booked, and they were like big theatres, which is kind of my favourite sort of size places anyway. But they probably could have played larger rooms because they had gone stratospheric, but they chose my band at the time, the Hypnotics, to open for them. And they were really cool to us and looked after us, and Chris and the guys said they discovered our record because they're living out of a tour bus, and people were sort of giving them like, check this record out, and they found our album. They said one night they were tripping on LSD, and they were just looking at the cover and listening to the music, and they got into it. And so we got the call, would you like to do these shows? And like, wow, and so we go back there, and Chris had worked with the last album that the Hypnotics did. We went out to LA and recorded with Chris producing it.
Amazing.
So there's a bit of history there. And this time on the tour when they came back, they gave me the call again, and so I was like, fantastic. And it was an amazing experience. They really looked after us. The shows were great. You were at the Hammersmith.
I was at Hammersmith. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, the whole show is incredible from start to finish, but that stage set, the circus tents.
They're a truly great band as well. You sort of every now and then you go like, this music's fucking really cool.
The dynamic between them is just amazing. I think they're one of those those bands which are absolutely timeless, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And you think maybe, they've been together a while, you think maybe Chris's voice might not be as great as it was, but he's better than ever.
Banging,
the power in that voice. And just
Totally
his stage persona, I mean, he's so rock and roll. I got this amazing shot of him where he's like slid down the mic, you know, he was like posing, and there was a big mirror behind him. You can see the reflection of him looking in the mirror. And I was like, oh my God, it doesn't get more rock and roll than this. Got it. You know, just incredible.
It was great hanging out with him, and you know, we were talking. He was asking what I'm up to, and I was saying, well, I'm getting ready to do the next album. And let me just backtrack a bit. We'd done the first, so back to what we were earlier saying, like we did that first tour with them, and interestingly, I was in talks with Harry about doing the 10th anniversary Red Rooster. Because my band had done the very first one, you know, it was 10th anniversary, and I was saying, I really want to get you back. And before we had time to put pen to paper on that, Chris called and said, like, oh, we've got this album, Happiness Bastards, and the UK and European tours. Do you want to do that? And Harry was like, go for it, man. You know, like, you know, we'll do something next year with this, but like, you can't miss that opportunity.
It'll be blown for somebody.
Well, exactly, you know.
So he's really cool about it, and you know, we probably would have said yes anyway to doing it. But while we're on tour, chatting with Chris and catching up with him, he's asking what we're up to, and I was saying, you know, we're going to get the next album for the Jim Jones All Stars, and he suggested, well, look, why don't you put it out on our label, on his label, you know, like Silver Arrow, which is the Black Crowes label, and it's like, that'd be amazing.
I might.
And so you know, would you be involved in the production and stuff? And he said, well, just you let me know, like I'll be involved as much or as little as you want. I was like, okay, that's the perfect amount. And and we've started the recording here, so that's it's like there's like a circle of events kind of joining up, gradually pulling us towards the Red
come
Rooster
together,
Festival,
isn't it?
Yeah.
But you don't get a bigger compliment than that, do you? Aren't you as involved as you want me to? It doesn't get better than that.
No, that's, like I said, that's the exact amount I would have chosen.
Very, very cool.
So, thank you, Chris.
And back to the Red Rooster Festival. So, tell me, Harry, how can people get tickets? How can they find out more about the lineup, about the bands involved?
Yes. So Red Rooster Festival, if you go to the Red Rooster Festival website, I think it's www.redrooster.org.uk. So you can go there, you can book your ticket online there, you can find out what the bands are, there's videos of the bands playing to give you an idea who it is. We do a big announcement this Wednesday for the full lineup for this year, and the festival's taking place on the 29th to the 31st of May here at Euston Hall in Suffolk, and it's going to be a great Red Rooster 2025.
And if you've not been before, do come, because it is just incredible. I mean, this place will blow your mind, and it's going to be the most rock and roll festival you've ever been to, so check it out. Thanks for speaking to me today, guys.
Thank you.
Absolute
amazing
pleasure.
All right.